Hello everybody, today we're going to be making this video a little bit different. You read the title, you came and watched. This is a complete guide on all things Yu-Gi-Oh! The basics, all of it. We're going to get you from learning how to understand, from understanding this to understanding this mess. You ready? Alright, let's start. But before we begin, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Maybe even check out the rest of the channel. You done that? Alright. Now, the bare basics of Yu-Gi-Oh! There are 3 types of cards. 1, 2, 3. This first type is a spell card. So right there. They're usually this kind of shade of green. You can play them at any time during your turn, your opponent's turn if it has that, which is a quick effect. No. Maybe. Whatever. That means that if something happens, you can play it in return. The second type of card is a trap card. This means, okay, during your turn, you can set a trap card, and that does not mean that you can play it. You must wait until your turn is over, which means you can activate it during your opponent's turn or your next turn. This such one, with that little arrow, means if your opponent does something, you can slam this down and stop it. Or, more accurately, flip it over. The final type of card, however, monster cards. These are going to be your main source to actually play the game, to damage your opponent and try to get them all the way down to 0 life points. Now, you're probably realizing this one has a bit more color to it than this one from the previous cut. And you're right. Look at them. We'll get into the basics of monsters right away, starting now. Now, to actually explain how the most basic monsters work, like this, we're going to use one of the most popular cards, no, most iconic cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever, the Dark Magician. Oh, also, you may notice that this one seems to have a black border, and the back was gray. This is a sleeve. Always sleeve your cards. It'll protect them. Alright, back to explanation. This is a normal monster. As you can tell, the main pale shade is different than this. That's because this is just a normal monster. And if you look down here, there's a bit of lore. Actually, the cards have a lot of lore in Yu-Gi-Oh!, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the game itself. And these down here are attack and defense points. Attack mode is just having it vertical, like that. With this, you can battle other monsters, like, say, if it was like this, imagine this is your opponents and this is you, you could attack this, and the remainder of the damage, basically 2,500, the Dark Magician's attack, minus 200, 2,300, your opponent would take 2,300 damage. And defense, in defense mode, it's occasionally less, not always. You take no damage. So even if it gets destroyed, which is when a monster has less health in battle and sent to the graveyard, you take no damage. Now, as you can probably tell from this collection, there are a lot of types of monsters, and I'll explain them all here. Starting with this again. This is a normal monster. These used to be the most common cards you could find back in the day. Like when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was first being made in like 1996. The most common cards you could find. They're less common now than they originally were. They have their uses, but even then they're kind of limited. This is an effect monster. Note the darker shade, and it says effect down there. Basically, effect monsters have abilities like spells and traps do. This one, for example, Obelisk the Tormentor, it cannot be the normal summon, which is when I'll explain that later in actual gameplay. Basically, this card as said down here, cannot be targeted with card effects. So basically, it's a beast on the actual field, well, or it was. Or if it was, or if you have two other monsters on the field, you can tribute them, which means sending them to the graveyard, and this guy destroys all your opponent's monsters on the field. Very useful card at times. Alright, next we have a fusion monster. Fusion monsters are known for their purple color, such as this, the Supreme King Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. They usually have monsters that are needed right there. This one obviously says 2 Dark Pendulum monsters, but usually you'll need an actual spell to summon them. So I'm just going to try and find the 2 I have. Again, sleeve your cards, people. It's very useful, and it'll make it easier to look through them. And it protects them. Ah, here's one. One of the spells needed that you can use is Polymerization. Long word, I know. Hard to say sometimes. Basically, this lets you fusion summon by either using the monsters from your hand that are listed or on the field. And it's sort of upgraded version, Super Polymerization. This card lets you basically do that, but you first must discard 1 card. And with this, you can use your opponent's monsters, I think. Oh wait, no. Oh yeah, from either field as a fusion material. Neither player can negate this. Negating is practically saying no. So if you've ever played the game Exploding Kittens, negating is practically the nope card. Yeah, fusion monsters can either have an effect or not have an effect. Obviously, this one has an effect. The next is ritual monsters. Now, these don't all look like that. They're usually just blue. They don't have all this. This is a pendulum monster. This guy, we'll get to that later. But ritual cards are a bit harder to summon. First off, you need a spell. I'm just gonna find that real quick. No, that's not it. Nope. No. There it is. Such as this, Odd Eyes Advent. To tell if a card is a ritual spell or not, look right next to there. That little flame means it is. Basically, a ritual summon requires 3 things technically. 1 spell, 1 ritual card, and 2 other monsters. Basically, you need those 2 monsters to have the stars on the top be equal or higher than the actual number of stars. Then you can summon it. Again, this one is a bit different because it is a pendulum monster and it's a bit unrelated. But let's get that out of the way and get to the next one. Synchro monsters are white. That's their main defining feature. If it's white, it's a synchro. I just said that, didn't I? Basically, synchro monsters are really similar to ritual monsters, as the 2 monsters needed have to equal the stars on the top. No spell needed, at least. But what you do need is a tuner and a non-tuner monster. Everything you've seen so far is not a tuner monster. Tuners can be anything, like literally anything. Okay, I'm gonna use that for an explanation as well. Like, as long as it says tuner in the name, you can use it. 1 minute. So there's hair in my sleeve. Don't know how that got there. This is a tuner monster, as it says tuner down there. So this plus another monster that equals or is equal to or higher those stars, you can summon this. Really simple. Just gonna put this back. And because I brought out that tuner, I'm going to explain that as well. This is what's known as a hand trap. You can literally just play it from your hand. Basically, hand traps are something you're going to want to use a lot in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Because look, oh my, that was just a hair there. Basically, if your opponent does any of these that adds a card or effect, no, if a card or effect activates any of these effects, you can discard this and negate it. But basically, look, if it does any of these, like adds a card from the graveyard to the hand, deck, or extra deck, special summons from the graveyard, or banishes from the graveyard, you can do that. You can play this and send it to the graveyard as a sort of like saying no again. Negates are very useful in this game, guys. Oh yeah. Alright, there's two other types of monsters I wanted to talk about. Xyz monsters. These have to be the simplest cards that you can find. You just need two monsters of the same stars. And when that's done, these obviously aren't, you stack them on top of each other. That's it. That's actually it. They're so easy and I love them. Oh, and you may have noticed that most of the cards I've shown that are different colors are all in different sleeves compared to this and this card that fell out. That's because these go in your extra deck, which is separate from the main deck, which goes on your left, where the main deck goes on the right. Okay, back to the explaining. Oh, right, this shouldn't be in this. Okay, this one's gonna be a bit more complex. Pendulum monsters. They're not all sparkly like you saw earlier with the ritual summon explanation. Basically, pendulum monsters all look like this. Half monster, half spell. Kind of. But basically, they go all the way on the left or all the way on the right of your field. And those numbers are important. Say if you had... Okay, I'm just going to use these as an example. Say if this was all the way at 13 and this was 0. Any card that has in between 0 stars, which there are none, and 13 stars, you can summon. Because this number, which is 7, is in between 0 and 13. This would be called a pendulum summon. A bit complex and hard to understand for some people, but you get around to understanding it. Okay, this next one I don't really fully understand, so sorry if I misinform you all. This is what's known as a Link monster, and yes, I don't have it sleeved. I'm sorry. Jeez. But pretty much, you need two, like, specific monsters for these. As you see here. This one's 2 effect monsters. You're probably going to be able to easily play this. I don't know what Link 4 means. From what I've heard, that means another Link monster that's either 2 or 3 plus a normal monster. Okay, I don't know how to explain these, and I have never used them, and honestly kind of hate them. Okay? Sorry. Got a bit pissed there. But yeah, basically, that is how all the monsters work. Okay, there are a few different types of spells and traps, which I'm going to explain now. Starting from left to right. This one isn't technically its own type, but Mirror Force. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, destroy all attack positioned monsters your opponent controls. I'm putting this in the different types because it's technically its own, like, subtype of trap card. There's not hundreds. Like, there's a lot of versions of Mirror Force. There's Drowning Mirror Force as well. It's a good type of trap. Okay, my words are falling apart. I'm putting this away. A different type of spell or trap that either a different symbol that either that either spells or monsters can have is this little infinity symbol. That means it's permanent, like it's not one-time use, like for most of these. Like for Mirror Force, once you use that, send it to the graveyard. Once you use this spell, send it to the graveyard. But yeah, these stay on the field. Again, these spell cards, I don't remember what they're called. If your opponent says something like response, you would like be allowed to play this or a trap or a hand trap. Useful. Then there's field spells, which can be classified with this little cross. These go at the top left of your field. They do like different things, like giving different type of monsters, like attack boosts, defense boosts, or saying your opponent cannot target specific types of cards with card effects in different zones. Now, you're probably wondering if I covered all the traps or spells here. No, I didn't. There's a type of trap card I don't have called a trap monster. Basically, you can summon those as a monster after setting them as a trap. Honestly, they're kind of useful sometimes, I'll admit. Alright, you're probably wondering how to play the actual game now, aren't you? Don't worry, I'm about to get to that. To actually start the game, and no, this is not exactly a scale, to briefly explain, Yu-Gi-Oh! Mats are like 2 by 6, but in those like 5, no, not 2 by 6, 2 by 7. So basically, deck, graveyard, extra deck, field spell zone, and then there's 5 places on the top for monsters, and 5 zones for spells and traps, as well as 2 extra zones that a player only uses once, where you can put extra deck monsters. Oh, ooh, ouch. Okay. To start the game, this isn't exactly a rule so much as being nice. I actually say hi to your opponent, maybe shake their hand if they want that. Just be polite. To start actually playing the game, you would shuffle your deck a few times. Make sure it's like thoroughly shuffled too, so nobody suspects you're cheating. And if you are cheating, leave. Just screw you. And once you're done shuffling, like both you and your opponent, you would present your decks to each other. There is no way to say that without it sounding weird. You would place your deck in front of you, like your opponent as well, and you and your opponent would cut each other's deck, which is basically finding a certain height of the deck, splitting it in half, and then putting it on top of the other. You start the game by drawing 5 cards, after doing like rock, paper, scissors, or flipping a coin, or rolling dice. Okay, so 5 cards in hand. You would get 5 cards, and you would start the game by doing your normal stuff, like setting the pendulum scale, setting a monster, obviously not this. Oh, right, I didn't even explain that. Right. Okay, so summoning a monster works in two ways. Whoops. If it's 4 stars or lower, you can just slam it down. Obviously not this. Or you can set it, which is defense mode. If it's 6 stars or lower, if it's 6 or 5 stars, you have to tribute a monster, which is basically saying, oh, okay, I see this, I'm gonna send it to a graveyard to bring out this stronger monster. That's how tributing works, pretty much. But if it's 7 stars or higher, unless the effect says different, you need 2 monsters out. So if it was 2 monsters for like 7 stars or higher, you'd send both of these to the graveyard and then place the higher level monster out. Then you would go to your attack phase if you have any monsters out, where you can attack only in attack position. Also, only once per turn can you change the position of a monster. Like, if I had these 2 monsters out, to explain, if I had these 2 monsters out, I could both switch them to defense, but I can't switch them to attack the same turn. Oh yeah, also, if you're going first, you cannot attack at all. You also don't draw on your first turn, which is kind of obvious. You basically keep playing until somebody runs out of cards in their deck, they lose, or until your life points are depleted, which means you would lose if your life points are depleted. There's a total of 8,000 life points. I know, that sounds like a huge number, but consider the attacks of these cards. Like, the attack strength. Oh wait, no, that doesn't work for that explanation. Like, for this one, which is obviously really hard to summon, but I'm proud of it anyways. 4,000 attack. A direct hit from that, bam, 50% of the game's over. Or such as this, also 4,000. There's also a Blue Eyes White Dragon card. I don't know if you've heard of that or not. But basically, you can fusion summon them all together, 4,500 attack. Crazy. But there's also a different way to win. Not determined by how many cards are in your deck, how many you have in your hand, no. How many life points you have. But a different one. It's not exactly a viable way to play. It's not exactly a viable deck today, but I still sometimes main it. You're probably wondering why there was just a random leg earlier, I bet. I'm sure you were. Oh, that's too stupid. That's because they're part of something. The first alternate win condition in Yu-Gi-Oh! Ever. Exodia, the Forbidden One. Basically, if you have all 5 of these cards in your hand, the game's over. You win. The odds of drawing all of them at the start are infinitesimal. You will not do it. Unless you're very, very lucky. Or a cheater. But basically, this is the first ever alternate win condition in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's amazing. So I'm gonna cover the light so you can see the whole thing. But you can only have one of these in your deck. And no, that is not just something that the fans created. That is an official rule of Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a banned list and a limited list, or forbidden and limited. Basically, forbidden cards, banned. You can't use them. Limited cards, you can only have a set amount in your deck, such as 1 or 2. Outside of that, you can have up to 3 copies of a card in your deck. 3 copies. Got it? Also, deck sizes is limited. You can have a maximum of 40 to 60. Extra deck doesn't count as its own thing, which you can have, I think, 15 cards in. But yeah. Each turn consists of you drawing a card, except for your first one, playing spells and traps, monster cards, special summoning from special summoning from your extra deck or your main deck, and just trying to diminish your opponent's life points. That's what they're called. The games can last a long time, and if you have just honestly, if you're building a deck, make sure you have a hand trap, okay? That will be your godsend. Alright, so I think that's the basics of the whole game. Yeah. Oh, by the way, if you want to identify a Yu-Gi-Oh card, it's really visible on the back. This weird little swirl. No idea what it's supposed to be, but it's cool as hell. But yeah, basically, now you know the whole thing. You're ready to go out there, buy your first deck, pack of cards, and start playing the game. Thanks for watching, and I hope this helped. This has been the Idiot's Guide to Yu-Gi-Oh! So, alright, see you everybody. Bye.